DEX and for DEX signals, and this is pro webinar, the Forex Forecast. Pretty soon we're even going to have to change the name of this from pro webinar because it's more about DEX signals than anything else. It used to be the pro system in there, which we really appreciated, but that went the way of the wind, which needed. But this is a pro webinar. I guess you can call us all pros in here now, right? The ones that are really, I'm seeing a lot more seniors and elites starting to get brought up. Very, very, very happy to see that. If you're watching this after the fact, this is for the February 12th to the 17th for that particular week, and we have some things to discuss today. A couple of things that we're going to discuss are some of the most important ones is the NA and the DEX. Everybody calls it the senior max. Go figure, but it's the SR max, right? So, and we're going to discuss what the news avoidance system and the SR max look like together and what they're doing with each other. A very unique relationship that I've built in there that I'm very proud of, but it's still confusing a couple people that I want to sort of be able to get in there and tell them exactly what it is. Of course, then we're going to talk about some of the next steps for the core company itself. Of what we're doing and how things are going to be taking on. You're going to notice a lot of more people coming in. We already have the highest numbers we've ever had in anything that we've built within this process, so we're very excited about that, and with a few new things that are coming. And then, of course, we'll hit final thoughts. But as always, here's what we have to do. Words are really stepping on my neck lately, But, oh well. Here's what it comes down to. Earnings and risk. So some of you will make money, some of you will be risking money. Some of you will have a good return on that risk, some of you won't. Everything that we do provide comes down to two simple things. Educational and trading assistance only. That's all this is for. I'm not forcing you to trade. I'm not forcing you to go to NADEX. I'm not forcing you to do anything. I'm not saying you have to take that trade or you're out. I'm basically giving you opportunity, and that's what this is, a usage of your tools and the tools that we provide. Also, if you see Mike is doing well, or maybe Brad Beckham is doing phenomenal, then it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to do just as well. Okay, so all results may vary. Ta-da! I did it. Okay, so let's talk about this. The news avoidance system and the SR Max. As most of you know, a couple of months ago, I started to really work with the concept of wanting to avoid news and the signals. And we wanted to put together a platform that would do just this. And it became like the goal of that time period to make this process. And the reason being is that we had a lot of customers complain to us that, hey, I just lost this trade because I wasn't paying attention, or I didn't get into the news, or that kind of thing. So, I don't always have the chance to look at news, or I don't understand it, or is this one going to affect it or not? So we decided to do a test. And we put these things together to see what the success rates would be with news avoidance compared to just letting it run, right? And we did this process for some time, and it's been yielding out pretty good. I mean, we do have some pretty good numbers, and I won't go into that in this particular webinar because it's not finished. That recipe's not finished working yet, so we're going to let that be. But in building the news avoidance process, we basically took all the information that was coming from investing.com and Forex Factory and started to compile what each news event was and how it affected the signals, not so much how it affected the market, because remember, the signals are different what the market is. So how it can affect the market may not be as influential on the signal. See what I'm saying? So we started to find that the data that we were getting from our daily signals and then later on our intraday signals was crucial to the compliance and building of the news avoidance process. And what it started to show us very quickly is that you could have the same news come out on another day. The same one happened 2 times at 2 different times, but it's the same news, come out the same amount, and the market moves in different directions. Isn't that weird? And we started to classify some of these news events as predictable and unpredictable. And those that were predictable began to show us that the market would move in a particular trend. And when it done so, even though that I couldn't depict a direction per se each time, I could still pick ultimate movement of the market. And it was in the average of pips that really swung it for us. And so what we began to do is to show and use that information within our network, within our programming itself for the signals. And I used it for the first time in a different way than I'm using it for intraday signals on the SR Max. And what I did was that because the SR Max has more of a macro look, it steps back for 2 hours instead of 2.5 like for the dailies, or an hour for like the intradays. So we basically have that middle zone. And what we did is that we said that if 2 bull news or 3 bull news meets a certain classification of being predictable, right? That it moves within a certain margin and has a high consistency of a particular direction when these things happen, then we're going to allow it to do a trade on the signal. And if it would affect that signal's direction, that the way it's going, we're not going to put a reverse in, but we're just not going to let it be, right? So there's 3 things that the system looks for. Predictability, right? Or it doesn't meet the margin of 2 or 3 bull, right? The volatility, so it meets volatility. Then it allows it to go to predictability test. And then will it affect the direction of the signal? And if all 3 say yes, it will, it's predictable, but it will affect the signal, at any time, any one of these could kill the signal that comes out. But there are still times, because new types of news come out that affect the market. We've seen a few of them come over this last 2 months, and those don't get in. So you'll still see news happening and the signal for SR Max still coming out, but there'll be a large majority of them that won't. I also think, let me see here real quickly. I want to get over there just for one quick second here. Next trader. I'm not sure if it did it this morning, because I had it open for the other pairs to come open. Let me see if it opened up. Yep. Okay. Yes, they did. They did come out. Because I wanted to make sure that it fired this morning, because anytime I turn anything on brand new, I always want to make sure that they fired, and they did, and I'm glad to see that they did. Now you're actually going to be seeing. Let me get the desktop open in here so you can see this. Before, we were only using the pairs of the big 5, right? The 5 that happened all day. But now the Euro British Gold Pound, the USD CAD, those ones are going to be firing off during the day. So I still want you to be very, very careful of those particular signals firing, because the new ones, the USD CAD, the ones that only fire during the middle of the day, from early morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I still want you to be very careful of, right? Because they're providing information. And pay attention to the crossover. I'm going to be using that signal in a live broadcast of the SR Max, because we tested some of it with the and we were only getting, I think it was like something like 98%. Any of the ones that failed, 98% of them had a crossover. So I had 1 or 2 that hadn't had crossovers, but it was very close to being a crossover and still failed because it was a huge movement. Mostly because the news ended, or it got impacted at the top of the hour that it was expiring, and it forced it way past its margin. So a couple of things that have happened now. The news avoidance system is still, it works on the system. You will see a couple of times, a small margin of times, that you'll see a 2 bull news or maybe even a 3 bull news. And sometimes if it's super predictable and it's not going to affect the direction of the signal itself, then it may still release. So you may see this a few times. It doesn't mean it's locked in tight. You still got to pay attention. You still got to do it, right? Let's talk about some success. About 2 weeks ago, a week or so ago, you can barely see this image is horrible in here. I hate how they upload it when I put it in the system. I'll just go over to Brad's demo sheet here in just a second. I asked Brad Beckham, who's in the room. Thank you very much, Brad, for being here as well. Who's an elite trader with us, who just made elite. I asked him to do something for me. And it was very important because he did tell me he wanted to be more involved in the company, more involved in the process. I asked him to go and as an investor, as a customer of this company, as somebody who's trying to get bigger in this network and become more, we can depend on him even more. There is a powerful amount of information when an individual trades for you, when an individual gets you data, because the machine will be a machine. It'll say, I'm going to trade here, 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 and here, and you can put variables in, and you can test the variables, and the next thing you know, you're giving this indicator or this process to an individual that doesn't have that mechanic, right? That's like, all right, I'm going to trade here. My kids called. I can't really do anything. I lost this one because I got in the wrong way, or I made another mistake here, or hey, I did really good for these particular ones. So there is direct data that comes from the machine, comes from the product, right? And then of course there is customer data. And customer data is very important. That data tells me that somebody of a moderate lifestyle, whatever it may be, okay, is either working or doing their thing or working from home or have distractions, or they're making it work for their business, their mentality. And he's only one individual. There are others that I have in testing and working with. But his success so far, and here's the rules that we told him, is get into the trade, get in any ones you feel you can get into. If there's a crossover, get out within reason, right? If it's within the last 15 minutes, you could possibly let it go to expiry. But if there's a crossover in the opposite direction, get out for the loss immediately as soon as it confirms. He had a 93.75 success rate, and so far, out of 16 signals, $218 profit margin. Now, I'm going to take you over to his sheet here so you can have a better look, okay? And here's when he first started out, right? He's 17. Now, there's a little bit of a misunderstanding when I tell people, what is a loss compared to what is a win, right? If you lose your entire risk in a trade, that is a loss. If you win your entire profit that you go for, that is a win. If you scalp, it is neither a win nor a loss. Even if you scalp out for a freaking dollar, it's not a win or it's not a loss. If you scalp out even for $2 loss, it's not a win and it's not a loss. And you have to treat it this way. Why? Because scalping, unless you're physically scalping out for the profit to make it better, should not count. It should be neutral in your world as well as in your process, because you're trying to fit good, solid trades in and surviving that drawdown of true losses. Now, a scalp out on a loss when the crossover happens can do things like this. Can save you. I mean, he was in for a $64 risk and he saved $40. Huge, right? That savings is making money. Remember, you're trying to survive the drawdown. Immediately, the very next trade made that back. That, to me, folks, is a 1-to-1 trading ratio, which means that when it's not for risk value, right? R to R, risk to reward. But it is that if you do have a failure in the system, if something breaks down, you have an early detection system that will pull you out of the trade and save your ass, right? Why? Because you're trying to get, remember, trading is all about surviving the drawdown, right? Some of you heard me say that. It's going to be the name of my first book, right? Surviving the drawdown. And that's what this is, right? This is truly, as well as our 5-minute system, surviving the process of when it loses, how much can you save before it loses completely, right? Can I ask a question in the room? There's 13 of you in this room. Has anybody ever seen a system with an early detection backout program in it? Anybody see a signal network out there that has early detection backout, or this particular process like the scalp out or the crossover technique here? Anybody see anything anywhere? And I'm asking not because I'm saying, Dex Signals is the best company in the world, even though that it kind of is. I want to know, Is this a mentality that a lot of signal companies or training networks or anything have out there? Is there anybody that's teaching you this particular type of process? Has anybody ever progressed through their network of signals and detection and training to learn from their process, to learn from their network and develop these kind of systems? If there is, I want to reach my hand out through the screen and shake their hand, because it is one of the most widely asked questions when people begin to trade. It's like, when do I know when my trade's going to go bad? And like, I have to tell some people in like the 5-minute series that we do, it's like, you can't on 5 minutes, because it's like a microsecond, right? It's a minute. It's 30 seconds. It's 2 seconds. It's 5 seconds. Compared to a 2-hour trade where it might be a 5 to 6 to 7 to maybe even a 15-minute notice. Hey, the shit's going to hit the fan here. Where in 5 minutes, you're talking about, 1/8 the time matter. So from a 15-minute down to say a 2-minute, or even a 1-minute process, you're like, holy crap. You get what I'm saying? Chris says, I never got that far with another company. That's right. Because most other companies, you can't survive the drawdown because they don't teach you any of this rest of the stuff in here. Okay, so the early detection of this process, look at this, yields out to $24, saves himself $40, right? Gets back in. Now, again, listen, he started on the 7th, right? Today's the 13th. That's 6 days. It's not a full 6 days worth of trading. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, maybe, okay, so it is actually physically 6 days worth of trading. Okay, you got some in on the 10th. So, all right, so you got some trading days in there. So 245 over 6 days, right? Let's just look at that just for a second. We're not even applying CVG divided by 6. That's $40 a day, right? You're like, screw you, I can't make a living on $40 a day, right? Or what about 400? Can you make a living on $400 a day? Then simply trade 10 contracts. You got to get to that point. It takes time, but you got to get to that point. And again, is Brad trading at the most optimal times for Brad? 2 or 3 trades a day. He did really well on the 9th. He only had 1 trade on the 10th, right? I'm pretty sure he has other things going on in his life. There were some times of, there was but look at this drawdown. I want you to see what this, now we refer to a drawdown is like, what is the most at any one time will a system break down and lose? And we haven't seen it past 3 trades in a row. Okay? So even if the drawdown, let's just say this all happened on one day, but it really just happened on within a certain period of time here. So even just here, you're only talking about $35 drawdown. $8 minus $8, crazy, right? But even if it was all 3, you'd still be looking at about a $70 drawdown, less than one particular trade on any other network. Do you understand? And even though that there were a couple of days, just one day that wasn't profitable, 210, right? Wasn't profitable for him. He was in the hole for that day. This isn't about the micro look of any one day, but the sum of its parts. And that's what the SR Max really works well with. This took a lot of time to build. Remember, it took us a year to get here. You understand? It took us a year to get here where we're at right now. And in less than 2 weeks, it'll be a full year since DEX Signals shifted its mentality into customer service, creating the data search of just we have to compile the information and use that information to the best of our knowledge. And look what it's yielded us in 1 year. A multi-million-dollar organization. Now, I'm not sure what happened from the 12th on, but the 12th here yielded out a pretty good, a halfway decent day. You had the bad day there, right? But then you had a really good day. You finished out the day strong on the 12th. It looks like you went to the 12th or the 13th, right? You trade at night, it looks like, Brad. And then you just got into it on the 13th. So really good this morning, right? Really good numbers this morning. Looks like you traded one of the new systems in here for the Euro British Gold Pound. Nice. It yielded out pretty good. Okay, and this finishes up this part of the series here to where Brad seen an opportunity to be a part of something bigger. And he put himself into this particular product. He could have traded anything. He traded 5 minutes, he traded dailies, he could have done any of it. But and he does have some other things, and I won't go into those just yet. But how many of you in the room are trading the SR Maxes with the same type of success? How many of you understand the crossover? How many of you have started to work on your CVG and your mentality to get to that next level, that incremental crawl process? And this is what you have to begin to ask yourself, especially those that are watching this after the fact. What is it that you're doing to model your trading career now? You have the tools. Does everybody in here see that? Listen, it's easy for some people to fake things. It's easy for some people, it's easy for the guru or the top guy to come and be like, trade as I do and be like me. Screw that. I don't want you to be like me. I want you to be like you. I want you to be able to use the tools, be the artisan to trade your way and do so profitable. We can help tweak it. We can help teach you how to use the tools better. But I don't want to say, hey, Bob, go here and trade this particular trade at this particular time. I got ridiculed over the weekend. I mean, beaten up in a private little room of traders. And I mean, beaten to death because they thought that I oversimplified everything in this room. And I was asked to come to this room to have a private conversation on the tales of our company, what we were trying to do. This was one of those types of people that invited me to a room to speak to their members because they wanted to bring 50 people to the company because they weren't having any success with some of these bigger companies that provided signals and algorithms and all that stuff. But what it really turned out to be was them beating up, their egos getting so big in that process that they just needed to ridicule everything that I was saying. And unfortunately, they didn't want to hear that they had to learn the system. They thought they already knew it all at that point, especially the owners of this room that I was in. They felt like they already knew it all. And it sort of begs to differ that if they did, they wouldn't be reaching out to other systems. So it really does come back down to, these people that overanalyze and overthink the process. You just have to get in there and do. That's one thing that I've seen so far in everything that we have, is you have to get in there and do it. It's not going to come from just following a blind signal. Well, I got in that signal and it lost. It is learning how to provide yourself. We had a customer, and I call this individual a customer because they came here with the intention of just getting a service and didn't want anything else. One, you have to remove your ego from anything that you come in here with, of course. Secondly, you got to be able to follow a rule base or do the training, or because if you think you're above the training, what are you here for? And they sort of sealed their own fate when they were complaining about this process. And they said something to the effect that when what the service wasn't what it depicted it to be, they say signals, and I wanted just a number to go with, and that's all I wanted, right? And because they didn't give me what I wanted, and I've been here for 2 months, and I want all my money back from the process. And what we found very unusual is that the individual used the term for 2 months and hadn't done any training, hadn't logged in more than 4 times. Okay. How could you depict a service over 2 months what it is from that point? But was on the chat, was in the support system asking a lot of questions, had done a consult, but didn't listen to the things that were said. And I felt that it was warranted. We wanted to be able to give them, listen, we don't want to keep people's money. If they don't come in, it doesn't work. I don't want negativity here. I just want you to go. Go do your thing. Go keep finding, because you can't help everybody. That's what this comes down to, is that removing your ego to be able to do like the thing that Brad did here. He could have acted like he already knew. But he came in and he put his nose into it and and look how far he's gotten. This is beautiful. Congratulations, Brad. And Brad has gone from working very hard at this process to an elite trader. And I'm proud to say that I'm going to have a conversation with Mike, and we're going to talk about bringing Brad into the fold and bringing him up to senior level. Because the dedication, determination, and the positive, he's in there helping customers, he's in there helping other investors into the company, he's in there talking to people, walking them through things. And I'm very, 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 very proud to have him a part of this company, as I am with many of you others that are here and just killing it. And it does my heart well to see this type of mentality of person come through this company and wanting to help other people. And I thank you, Brad, for your determination and your dedication to this company, and welcome aboard. All right. Hold on to your hats, because it's about to get wild. Now, I made a statement on a webinar the other day that said, it was really weird, right? Because I was describing us at the same time while I was describing some bitterness into this industry about, you ever been with one of those companies like, oh, try the new Apex 14A, and it's like, I'm sorry, I used the name of the company, I shouldn't have. But when I was trading with Apex Investing, and I was trading with their sharpshooter system, every time that I said it didn't work, a new version came out. And you know what? There are companies out there that's all they do. They just keep creating buzz around the same nonsense, and things that don't work, and when tried to explain it, they can't explain it. They just say, go use it, So I began to see that this model of mentality was out there. And in order to stop people, you needed to give them some consistency. Daily signals, intraday signals, those particular processes, the signals themselves have remained consistent, and we've added on, but also taken away things that have worked or not worked. We have touted their success or failure. We have stood by our premonitions of what we wanted to happen and to build and to work on. We've had some mentality shifts. Do you know what kind of hit it took for me to create Max's signals and say, I can do this, to find out that I couldn't? Because I genuinely want to help as many people as possible, and I wanted to be able to go into a room and call signals out and give you the best signals possible, because they're the signals that I would take. But what I quickly found out was that, holy crap, I am human. I can't trade at that level while telling other people, while putting the information in. God bless Thor's soul, because I wouldn't be able to do what Thor does. Okay. I couldn't do all of that and get this out and answer emails and do webinars, and there's no way I could, so it was suffering. So we pulled it, made it all inclusive. We gave a bunch of people comps. We backtracked pricing. We gave refunds. We've done all this stuff to make up for that. And that's what separates us from all these other companies. That even though we have things come out and new programs happen, they're not just a bait and switch, sleight of hand process. And if one thing that we did bring out doesn't work, we work around that process and we create the relationship with our individuals, our investors, our compadres in arms here. We create these relationships with you that we either make up for it, or you understand it, or you accept that's part of this solution, is to find the best for all of you. So what I'm about to tell you is always in the best interest of the company, because it is mostly when we bring out new things or new product and new processes, that they are for the betterment of this community. And it's never for just to sell a new product. It's for the continuation of education, or it's the continuation of our success, never about the profit margin of that part of the process. Okay, so what's going to happen with DEX Signals, because that's what this is. This is a pro webinar for DEX Signals. I've invited a few other people that are not part of DEX Signals, but I don't know if they're here, if they're watching, or what have you, watching this after the fact. I am going to put this out publicly so all of you can see. But what's going to happen for DEX Signals over the next 2 weeks is that there is going to be an amount of training that you're going to see happen of different little platforms. There's going to be a revamping of the Trader's Mind, as well as the MetaTrader Mayhem and some Nadex things. These things are going to get revamped for DEX Signals. And what I mean by revamped is that there's going to be some cleanup there might even be, Trader's Mind might even have a whole new series in the process, which you'll see here is very, very powerful. And I'll explain why here in a second. All right, because we want to attract as many people to our community as possible. Remember, our training segments are free on DEX Signals. Anybody can go and see all the training, even the Signals training, all free. I even made the Elite training free. I want people to have the most opportunity when they first get here, that they don't have to pay a penny to come in and visualize that free training. So this in-depth training that's going to happen is also going to happen on Forex markets, price action knowledge, and the building of a testing platform. And what this testing platform is going to be sort of modeled into the elite senior mentality process, right? People that have helped others, that can answer questions, that can do these things, and that they'll get them to elite. And then from elite, they'll get them to senior. So people can come into this process, and even before they paid, they can't get to elite before they pay, but they can get to a status of no longer a customer, but an investor into themselves, right? So once they pay, they begin the stature of, hey, I've been through this and it's proven. You know that if you're talking to me, you're not wasting time now, right? Like if I'm talking to a consumer who just came off a free and says, so where do I get, why are the daily signals so large in range? It's like, okay, it looks like you haven't done any training yet. You're still here day one. So this way, you know that you can get to certain things that if I'm, or the customer service people, or even some of you seniors and elites that are in the room are talking to somebody in a particular area, that they have been through the model of training. That is what we're about to set out. That the customers that advance to elites and seniors are of the highest caliber and are the ones that really want to make this work. Okay? Because if not, they're going to be in a different part of the company in that little free section there that they're just going to sit there with, and that's okay. Let them be. Gives us great numbers, over 2,300 numbers to be exact. Okay, so this will be happening over the next 2 weeks. As a corporation goes, I want to let you know of other things, because some of you like to go in between these things, and some of you have multiple. So I'll let you know, as a courtesy to all of you, the next two processes here. The next step for DEX Trader, okay, on the other hand, is really about processing and finishing the DEX data chart system. The reason why we didn't finish it in the second phase, the third phase there, or second phase, was because we had to get a few things organized, which we thought we had to get regulated. We were misguided by a few companies that were telling us that in order for us to have our own, that we had to get regulated, and it was a big game to them. Now, after we looked into regulation and we applied for these things, we did whatever we had to do to follow the rules. We did all that. We got everything on board just to find out we never really needed it to begin with. And what a load of bullshit that this industry is. And so we decided that we were going to follow a different mentality here. We weren't going to try to create a charting system for everybody, right? We weren't going to try to create a charting system and web-based charting platform that anybody in the world could come and use and be, a new trading view. No. What we're going to focus on this very first view is the DEX data chart. And this system is going to have a DEX support and resistance and the DEX MACD on it. That's it. Not even a double stow, right? That might come into the future, but not even the double stow. Why? Because it's not necessary right at the moment. I don't need to make the double stow because the DEX MACD actually has a few other tweaks to it that a regular MACD doesn't. And the DEX SR is bing, almost one of its kind. At least I can't find anything else out there. Like, there's one other company that has something like it, and I used to work with that company a very long time ago, but I did get a lot of my concepts from that mentality of using support and resistance. But hey, we're a combination of our experiences, right? So these particular two indicators will be the first ones that'll be on there. And then something else that'll happen very, very quickly, probably a lot faster than you may think. The same program that we have for DEX Indicators 5-minute MDM program, which we'll talk about here in a second, is going to be applied to the DEX data charting system. And we're going to do this because there will be a set of charts that'll be just for that. There'll be a set of charts that'll be the SR and the DEX MACD. That'll be just for that. And then there's going to be the DEX 5-minute system with the arrows on it that'll appear, the alert that'll show up, and the SR level system and the DEX MACD will be on this charting system. Okay, for all 10 pairs. Or for all on the DEX 5-minute, it'll be just for the 4 pairs that are in that system. And so to me, that is one of the most exciting processes out of all of them. Because to have the availability not to have to download the MetaTrader 4 system and go to your computer and do all that stuff, and we're going to try to make this DEX 5-minute trader system, I won't say in an application, but it'll be application-esque, right? You'll be able to go to a mode of the application and be able to visualize this on your tablet. I won't say phone, that's ridiculous. It'll be a tiny little handheld thing you'd be trying to blow your eyeballs out. But we're going to try to get it down to a tab size, okay, tablet size, all right? But again, I'm really trying to stay with a desktop, laptop kind of feel, right? But if I can get it to tablet size and working and looking good on a tablet, then it looks like we're doing pretty good at that point. Now, pretty soon too, I'll make another announcement that we're sort of going to get into, but I won't be doing it today. We'll be doing this on Wednesday. I just want to confirm the few last things, but I'm pretty sure that the DEX Trader 5-minute series, of course, it's going to be held on DEX Trader. It will definitely be an add-on to that solution. I have to do that because it does take a tremendous amount of computing to be able to do this part of it and security, and it costs us a lot of money to do. Okay? This program alone is going to be attacked. DEX Indicators is getting attacked every day right now, right? I mean, it's getting crazy. They're trying to, I know people keep trying to hack our indicator. I know people are trying to break that open and find out what it is and how it works, and they're trying to compile. I have a compiling company and a programming company, and I've gotten 4 requests so far from people that have access to an indicator, that full circle indicator, for people to try to open that up and get that open compiled. I've had people actually bring me my own indicator, okay, from DEX Indicators, and ask me to crack it. And how stupid is that? Even the site says it. It's ridiculous. All right. So you guys got to be excited about that, right? The next step for DEX Indicators is that you know that we have progressed nicely within the 5-minute MDM system. You guys know what happened with this, right? Some of you know. It's called BlameItOnMikeFicca.com, right? Blame it on Mike Ficca. Now here, I'm going to do this. I don't know if Mike is available to talk. Are you available to talk, Mike? All right, so I'm going to add Mike into this webinar here. There you go, Mike. I just added you on. Let's see if Mike can answer. We'll see if he's there. If he comes in, then that's great. If not, but I'm in Chrome. Well, you're going to have to back out and come back in someplace else because it didn't work for you. All right. So let me discuss what's going on, and then we'll see if Mike can come in and do that here in a second. We've progressed very nicely in this system. The next phase will be released to all members here today and tomorrow, okay? Today and tomorrow to all members of the DEX networks, right? This is, if you're a DEX member, a paying member of DEX anything, DEX Trader, DEX Indicators, DEX Signals, your cost is only $97 a month because we're charging everybody else $297 a month. All right? But you have to keep and maintain the DEX Signal or DEX Trader or DEX Indicators program. If you don't, then it's going to have to go to full price. We're going to have to kick you out at that point. So keep that in mind. All right? Again, we're asking this because we don't want to charge all these extra fees. We're not one of those companies that just has like all these little micro fees everywhere. Oh, you wanted it blue? Well, that's $5 extra. No, what we want to be able to do is to help you maintain this process. And that's us being able to keep the systems that we have, these programs, these securities. Because listen, if this gets in the hands, the 5-minute system is three parts mentality, 1 part system. Do you understand? So if you're already a member of one of these systems in there, then you're going to get the, you're paying that $97. But you got to reach out to Amy for the code. You got to get on with Amy and get the code. If you're already a member of one of the systems in there, you got to get the code from Amy. She'll be in that chat. You got to email her, cs@dexsignals.com. Okay. After this week, we're gonna try to get you guys to a point, hopefully within the next 24 to 48 hours. I'm going to try to extend it as much as I can. If you can't afford it, but you want in it, write us. Let us know. I don't mind helping people out to get to a level, but we got to know that you're in this thing, right? You're not here just listen. If you got to be computer savvy too at this point. That or wait for the DEX version of this, DEX Trader version of this to come out. Okay, please, I'll give you guys a discount for the DEX Trader side if you're a member already. All right, but you got to keep in mind that the work has to be done. There is some learning and discipline has done. If 5-minute trade scares the shit out of you, don't even bother with it. All right, trade what Brad Beckham's doing right now and kick ass at it. Apply CVG, make your money. Holy crap! I want you all to be successful. I want you all making money, because then you can afford to pay for the site. It's serious, and I want those that can really do well at it to become investors of different things we want to build. You guys know that this is the program. This is what I want you to be able to do. All right. So again, don't worry about it if you can't get in. There's plenty to do and make, in the regular DexSignals.com network. All right, let me take you over and I want to riddle in the success of others because you guys have been kicking ass. So this is the new portal system for indicators for the 5-minute series, right? So it's under the 5-minute core. If you don't have this access, then you don't have this site, if you just have the member portal, you won't have access to this particular piece. But what we did is that we created the training and more training going in. We got the indicator on, of course. We got the chat room. This is an exclusive chat room just for these folks in here. You can kind of see they're all in there doing their thing, right? And you can kind of see all the success that's happening. We created a rule sheet. Now this is the first that we've ever done with this, is that each one of the traders that is in beta testing right now, like Mike F, who's trading, right? You can easily see his trades. You scroll all the way down the bottom to his last little success here, and look at this. Holy El Crapo. Mr. Machine here. Let's see, 150, let's see, 137 divided by 154. It's 88.9% success rate with $3,087 made from the beginning, which is the 8th. So within that week, trading one contract at a time. Do you understand me? One contract at a time. Yeah. So you tell me, is it worth it? Can you survive the drawdown? The answer is yes. If you look at Mike's trading, there's 2 trades in all. So that's about $140 drawdown. All right. Where's it end? There's another 2. Now, this one was a little bit higher because somebody wanted to trade 3. He had started to do an incremental crawl process, and I told him don't because we're testing data. And again, I really don't see anything more than 3 ever. There's 4 because, of course, Mike decided that he was going to be trading in a different mentality at this point, and hit some pretty bad spot in the very, very beginning. So he started off with a pretty drawdown, right? But even this is like, I don't see it on anybody else's chart. Nobody's ever done 4 or out at that particular point. So even with this, talk about transparency, right? What a bad start, trying to figure shit out. Yeah. Most of the people, because Mike is in there helping them train in the other mentalities. Let me show you another superstar, an absolutely freaking superstar. Okay, is Jonathan D. And holy crap. Okay. Now, I'm not going to give too much away about Jonathan D. in this process, but let's just say that Mr. Jonathan D. had some mishaps happen in a live account that he probably shouldn't have done and lost a lot of money. And I don't know if Jonathan's I think Jonathan's in the room right now. And if Jonathan's in the room right now, he's killing it. Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations, buddy. You're absolutely killing it. And you're on your way to senior trader here very soon. We have one more conversation to do, and then we're going to get you to senior level as well. So you'll be another one that within a very short period of time has raised up through that rank to receive this kind of reward. Look at this. This is amazing. This kid's got Mike Ficker written all over him, especially since we're going to put him on the website. See, look at that. No more than a single drawdown of 2 to 3 contract or 2 to 3 trades at a time, right? And we teach you to stop at 2, move on, wait for a little bit. Market needs to move around, right? There's 3. A little bit of a no-no trading 2 at a time, but we talked about that. That's good. So good, strong, hardy individuals in there working it. People like, let's look at Joseph Duncan. Oh, he's got red in there. Oh, it's like red's my kryptonite. I'm sorry, red's my kryptonite. A little bit of OTM trading happening, but that's okay. We'll have to talk about that. Had a few boo-boos here and there, right? Learning the process. There's the drawdown, the main drawdown. Learning the process is like day 1, day 2 success rates, right? So not too bad. I'm not sure what his success rate is. There it is. Well, for today, just for today, $198, but how many trades was that he traded? 13. There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 trades for today, and started at 8:30 and ended at 10 o'clock, and he made $198. Yellow. That's pretty damn impressive. Okay. 2 hours worth of work, right? What is that? Is that a couple hours worth of work? And he's working on it. He's practicing it. We tell you to do about 200 to 300 trades. He's got some time in. He's got to get in, right? He's got some transgression to get to once he gets to his live account. We got to talk about that, live trading. A little bit different, right? A little bit different mentality, a little bit different process. So we're very excited. All right, so I'll stop showing off now because it is awesome. And we'll get into the final thoughts here. Now, I promise I'll be quick. Everybody always says that you always have plenty of time to do things. And you should wait until you're empowered to do something. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to call bullshit. If the human mentality was meant to wait until they were empowered, they would never do anything. Do you think I really want to work 16 hours in a day? No, I don't. I'd rather be fighting spaceships and aliens and space pirate robot monsters with my kids than trading. I would rather be on radio and making people laugh than trading. But I do what I do because I know that time is not on my side. And in order for me to be productive and profitable, I need to make things for others to be able to become profitable as well. And you have to seize that moment. I don't want to get into the whole Dead Poet Society process, but listen, you got to take charge of it. Now, most of our problems begin to arise when we take action, but we don't have direction. And that direction, that lack of direction, sort of sends us in a tailspin. We get a little bit of resistance against that direction, and it sends us into a tailspin. we get a little bit of criticism in that direction, and we get pushed into a tailspin. We don't bother anymore with becoming great at one thing. You notice that as a society? How many of you here can do multiple things, like trades? When was the last time you called a doctor to find out something simple instead of looking on Google? We've become mass agents of research, and we're always looking. The reason why I tell you to sit and focus and trade on one thing, become good at it, is because, yes, you can add things later, but become dependent on that great thing. You know what I'm really good at in trading? The dailies. And, actually the SR Maxes are really floating my boat too. I really enjoy that process. But the dailies is what I'm very good at. And I can make good money. Could I use one of the other systems? Could I trade 5-minute trades? Absolutely. If I did nothing else, I could trade 5-minute systems. If I didn't talk to Mike, if I didn't get into the chat room, if I didn't do anything else, my mentality is that I got to be in there and doing it. Now, most of us, once we become, you don't notice you become great at one thing. Somebody else has to tell you, hey, you're pretty good at that, right? You're not just gonna wake up and like, hey, that dude in the mirror, that looks like exactly like a great trader. No, but you'll feel it. You'll know you become good at it. When those tinges of losses become less. When those green numbers that happen at the end of a trade become less tingy to tell you to go put more contracts on. When the greed monster rears its ugly head less and less and less every day, and you become like a surgeon. And that's what you have to be able to do. Is become great at one thing, become a surgeon, and become methodical and disciplined and directed. Be in charge of what you are. Leads me to my last final thought, is make the decision to do it and to go now. If you're watching this after the fact, if you're inside the room, if you're hesitant, listen, your body's going to tell you, us as humans, we have a fight or flight risk mentality, right? And if we feel a fight coming on, we're only 1 second away from running, right? At any one time. We weigh the measures and imbalances of our lives by the microsecond because there's so much information in that microsecond, not in just trading, but in your life, of what's happening around you, that you can change your life in that microsecond of decision, right? And if you don't think that that's a real process, try responding differently than you ever would if somebody came up and said hello. Punch them in the face and tell me if that microsecond of a change in your mentality has changed your life at all. Of course, after you get out of jail and you got some bail money, come and let me know how that worked for you. But the idea of taking what you are doing right now and creating that life for you means that you have to make a very big decision in a very short period of time. And in your life of trading and worrying about the world and all that, this time frame that you're making that decision is going to mean nothing to you in 6 months from now. It's going to be a spit in a bucket. It's going to be a drop in the ocean. But right now, you're wondering all these other things. Is it going to work? Is it going to do this? Am I going to get good money? Am I going to make it happen? You just have to get in there and go. Hit the ground running. Start making it work. If it's not working, ask. If you're unsure, ask. We're all here. We're all here to make it happen for you. Or with you, I should say. All right. For those of you that are watching this after the fact, I want to thank you for joining us and getting to this part of the video because, hey, it means you just watch the entire thing, which is cool. And if you just skipped around to get to this point, congratulate yourself anyway because you know how to use the internet. But for everybody else in the chat room, please stick around. I have a couple of minutes before I have a 1 o'clock. We can ask some questions, get some questions answers. For everybody else, as always, I'm Max, and this is Dex. As always, trade well.